Welcome to E5110 Probability Foundations for Electrical Engineers. In this lecture we will be looking at some of the example problems related to jointly distributed random variables. Okay. So in the last lecture we looked at how joint cumulative distribution functions, joint density functions and joint probability mass functions of set of random variables can be defined. We also looked at how using that the probability of the two random variables or more random variables involved in the joint distribution, taking some values in their respective intervals, can be computed. We also looked at how the marginal distributions can be computed. We also looked at how conditional density functions and distribution functions can be defined. We will now look at some more examples related to how joint distribution specification allows us to handle solving problems. Before getting into that, we looked at already how joint cumulative distribution function of random variables can be defined. For example, fxy of x comma y is a joint CDF of the two random variables x and y that gives you the probability that the random variable x is less than or equal to the value small x, random variable y is less than or equal to small y. We can also define a function which is similar to CCDF or complementary cumulative distribution function of joint distributions. This is the way we define for the two random variable case. Probability that x is greater than a and y is greater than b can be found out using the joint CDF and marginal CDFs of x and y. We will see how that definition goes. So this probability of x greater than a and y greater than b can be written as 1 minus the probability of the complement event to this, the event which is complement to it. That is 1 minus probability that x greater than a, y greater than b whole complement. So we are finding the complement of this event and its probability, whatever it is, it should be 1 minus that probability will be equal to the probability of this event. Again, now this two events, x greater than a and y greater than b, what we are doing is in terms of set theory is this event intersection and this event whole complement is what we are doing. It is just like a intersection b whole complement. Applying the De Morgan's law, we can write it as a complement union b complement, treating this to be a and this is to be the event b. So we can write this event as such as 1 minus probability of x greater than a complement union of y greater than b complement. Okay. Then having written it in this manner, we can again apply the set theoretic formula for finding a union b. So this is treating this to be an event a and this to be event b. This is like a union b. So probability of a union b is probability of a plus probability of b minus probability of a intersection b. So what we can do is before doing that, we will apply this complement on each of this set. So it is 1 minus probability of x greater than a complement is x less than or equal to a, y greater than b complement is y less than or equal to b. Now let us apply the probability of a union b, treating this to be event a, this to be event b. Then you will get p of a plus p of b minus p of a intersection b. So it is 1 minus probability of x less than or equal to a plus probability of y less than or equal to b minus the intersection of these two events, probability of x less than or equal to a, y less than or equal to b. So you can apply this negative sign on all these one. So this and this becomes negative, this becomes positive, and you can identify this to be nothing but the marginal CDF of x, and this to be the marginal CDF of y, and this to be the joint CDF of x and y. So we get P of x greater than a, y greater than b to be equal to 1 minus fx of a minus fy of b plus fxy of a comma b. We can also derive this formula using geometric arguments, that is with geometric interpretations of the space spanned by x and y. You look for the region in which this condition is met. What is the condition? Probability of x greater than a, y greater than b. So let us look at this two-dimensional region, real axis x and y. Let us say this is a, this is b. So x equal to a is this line, y equal to b is this line. So this region above this is where x is greater than a, y is greater than b. We are interested in computing the probability above this region. To find out that, we can the probability measure of the whole plane is 1. Okay, so we can write it as 1 minus, and you can remove the probability corresponding to x less than or equal to a, everything on the left hand side of the line x equal to a. So this probability measure, everything on the left hand side of x equal to a is x less than or equal to a is nothing but fx of a. So this has been removed. Similarly, if you remove everything down of y equal to b, that is nothing but fy of b. So that also if you remove, you would see that from the whole plane this part as well as this part has been removed, but we have removed this part, which is where x is less than or equal to a as well as y less than or equal to b 2 times. So you add it to this quantity is subtracted twice, you add it once to get the probability measure of this region. So that is how we can interpret this formula. Well, now with this in mind, let us get into some of the examples involving joint probability distributions. Let us consider a density function of two variables x and y. The joint density function fxy of x comma y is given as lambda 1 lambda 2 e power of minus lambda 1 x plus lambda 2 y, and is defined only for non-negative values of x and y. Okay, so you would see that this resembles the exponential distribution. In fact, this is bivariate exponentially distributed function. Okay, here there are two exponential distributions. Okay, one with parameter lambda 1, another with parameter lambda 2, and x and y are the two random variables. Okay, so this is their joint density functions. Now let us go ahead and then try to find out the marginal density functions and so on. First, what we can do is, if you want to get the marginal density function of x, you have to integrate out y. So integral from minus infinity to plus infinity, fxy of x comma y dy has to be done. So in this place you substitute the joint density function formula, which is lambda 1 lambda 2 e power of minus lambda 1 x into e power of minus lambda 2 y. We have just factored this into two separate terms. Note that because of the condition posed by the exponential distribution, actually this lower limit of this integration only starts from 0. Okay, So now to proceed with this one, we can take terms which are independent of y, that is lambda 1 e power of minus lambda 1 x, and lambda 2 can be taken out. What remains is integral 0 to infinity e power of minus lambda 2 y dy, and that between the limit 0 to infinity, that will only lead to a formula 1 over lambda 2, which we have already seen with respect to the exponential distribution. So on cancelling lambda 2, you get lambda 1 e power of minus lambda 1 x, and this is valid over the range of x. Y is now irrelevant, so lies between x 0 to infinity. So you would see that the marginal density function of x is nothing but a univariate exponentially distributed distribution. Similarly, because x and y have similar footing on the joint density function, fy of y will also take a similar form, and it is given by lambda 2 e power of minus lambda 2 y, of course here, not x, okay, y lying between 0 to infinity. So you can see that the fxy of x comma y, the joint density function, can be written as a product of two factors. One is this factor lambda 1 e power of minus lambda 1 x, another is this factor lambda 2 e power of minus lambda 2 x. In fact, we could have written it in this form even by looking at the joint density function, but it is not just writing in that form. You can see that this is the product of the marginal density functions. For any two random variables, if the density functions can be factored into a density function of one variable times the density function of another variable, then we say that these two random variables are independent. So here x and y are independent of each other. Now let us look at some more quantities related to this bivariate exponential distribution. How about the joint CDF, that is capital F xy of x comma y, that is defined as minus infinity to x minus infinity to y, the density function fxy of u comma v du dv. So plugging the density bivariate exponential density function and separating out terms related to x on one side under one integral of the x and another integral for y, we get these two product of these two integrals. So 0 to infinity lambda 1 e power of minus lambda 1 u du is nothing but the integral of the marginal density function of x. And from our understanding of exponential distribution, we know that this is equal to the CDF of x 1 minus e power of minus lambda 1 x. Similarly, this gives the CDF of y, which is 1 minus e power of minus lambda 2 y. So the CDF also factors into two quantities. Now let us look at another example, okay, in which case x and y, okay, are not they are interrelated in some little complex way, and in this case we will see whether x and y are independent or dependent, and if they are dependent, what is the nature, and so on. Here we consider a two-dimensional plane spanned by two variables x and y, and the value taken by x lies between minus r and plus r, where r is a given constant. Similarly, y lies between minus r and plus r, but again there is a restriction that there is a circular region with center at origin, and the value taken by x comma y should lie within this circular region. And not only that, within this region the probability density has a uniform value. So fxy xy of x comma y is equal to a constant c in the region x squared plus y squared less than or equal to r squared, and it is 0 otherwise. So in the shaded region it has a uniformly distributed and 0 elsewhere. Now for this kind of an distribution which is given here, that is 0 0 is the origin, This is small x and small y spans, and r is the radius of this circular region. The two random variables x and y denote a point that is randomly placed in this region. So this point can occur anywhere with uniform distribution within this region. We are first interested in finding the value of c. Then we are interested in finding the marginal density function of the random variable x, y. Then we define a new random variable d, which is the distance of that randomly picked point from the origin. Okay, so this random variable will be a function of both x and y. So, and what will be its CDF? That is probability that d is less than or equal to a. We will try to compute. Then we will also try to find out the expected value of d. Okay, expected distance, that randomly chosen point, the distance from origin to that point, that is E of d. Well, first is to find the normalization constant c. We know that if you integrate the density function over the all region of support, it will evaluate to 1. So integral minus infinity to plus infinity for both x and y, fxy of dy dx is equal to 1. So this is uniform. So it takes a uniform value c in this region where it is defined. The region of definition is given by the condition x squared plus y squared is less than or equal to r squared. So over this region it is c. So we can take c outside and perform dy dx, and that should be equal to 1. Now of course you can do this integral. You know that x will vary from minus r to plus r. Given a value of x, y is given by plus or minus, will lie within plus or minus root of r squared minus x squared. So with that you can do an integration, or you can go for a polar coordinate representation r comma theta and do it. But this case is so simple that you don't need to get into all those complications. This is nothing but the area of the circle, okay, with radius r, and because it is uniform distribution, you don't need to worry about it. You can just find the area and multiply it by c. Otherwise you cannot afford to do that one. So this is just pi r squared. So c is equal to c into pi r squared is equal to 1. C is equal to 1 over pi r squared. Well, now let us move on to find the marginal density function. Fx of x is given by minus infinity to plus infinity fxy of dy. We are integrating out dy. Putting the value of c, which is 1 over pi r squared, and this is the region x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared, into dy, because fxy is nothing but c, which is taken out. So we have to do integration with only with respect to dy y. Okay, now let's define a value c, which is root of r squared minus x squared. Of course, be careful, this c is totally different from this c. It could have been better to use some other notation for this. Well, with this notation, this becomes nothing but minus c to plus c dy, because x is y is given for a given value of x, okay, y will range from minus c to plus c, like this one. So if you perform this integration, you get y with applied between c and minus c. So 2c is what you will get. So 2 into the value of c, which is root of r squared minus x squared divided by pi r squared. This within the region x squared is less than or equal to r squared. That is, x lies between minus r to plus r. So this would be the marginal density function. So you note that x is not uniformly distributed between minus r to plus r. Okay, obviously nearer to origin you can see more concentration of probability as compared to away from the origin. By symmetry you can also tell that y will also have a similar marginal density function. Fy of y is also 2 by pi r squared root of r squared minus y squared for this region and 0 elsewhere. Now we will go about defining the new random variable d. D is equal to root of x squared plus y squared. the distance from the origin is given by this one. This is the new random variable, and for if d takes a value a, and a has to lie between 0 to r, the maximum radius. So we will first find the CDF of the random variable d. D is defined as root of x squared plus y squared. Okay, the CDF of d at the value a, that is probability that root of x squared plus y squared is less than or equal to a. Okay, squaring, we get probability of x squared plus y squared is less than or equal to a squared. Okay, so you would see on squaring the inequality remains constant. We can do it, so you get this. Again, this is nothing but a probability measure over this region. Again, over this region, probability density function will be uniformly distributed. Of course, the normalization constant would be different for this one. Okay, for this variable, but it is uniform, and therefore you would see that over this region, if you try to do the integration fxy of this one, you would see that the c is 1 over pi r squared, and this region you have to do integration, and again this is nothing but the circular region with radius a, and therefore the area is pi a squared. So you get pi a squared by pi r squared, which is a squared by r squared. So you would see that this is how the density function of the distance from origin gets transformed. Now, so this is CDF. How do we get density function? FD of A is just you have to do an a differentiation. So you would get 2a by r squared for a lying between 0 and r. And how do we get the expectation? Expectation of a squared is you integrate it out between 0 to r, and a times fd of a. Okay, so a into if you do this one, so 2a squared by r squared, integral 0 to r a squared dA, 2 by r squared, we will take it out. You will say that this is nothing but a cube by 3 applied between r and 0. You will get 2 r cube by r squared and 3. R squared and r cube cancels to get 2r by 3. So this would be the expected value of distance. You would see that this is not r by 2. This is something different. Okay, so that is something you can reflect upon. Now we have so far seen how the joint density function of course a continuous valued random variables, two random variables, can be defined and handled. Now let us look at the joint discrete random variable. One example. Let us assume that there are two random variables x and y. X may correspond to tossing of a coin resulting in a random variable taking value 1, 2. Y is another one which takes 4 possible values 1, 2, 3, 4, and their joint PMF is given. Suppose it is given like this one. Okay, how do we go about finding different statistical quantities? First, if this prescription is given to you, you can first verify whether this is a valid joint PMF. To find out that one, you can first find the marginal PMF. Okay, first you have to find that whether all these quantities do they add up to 1, because the joint PMF should also sum up to 1. So you have to add all these things, and you can check whether it is equal to 1. Okay. Then if you look at this one, okay, marginal density function of x and y can calculate. Probability that x equal to 1 is nothing but, in continuous one we will integrate out y. In the discrete one we will sum over all values taken by the random variable y, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So to get probability x equal to 1, you have to sum up all probabilities in the first row, that is 1 by 4 plus 1 by 16 plus 1 by 16 plus 1 by 8. We can see that this adds up to 1 by 2. Similarly, probability x equal to 2 is the sum of these probabilities, 1 by 16, 1 by 8, 1 by 4, 1 by 16. That also adds up to 1 by 2. You can see that the probability mass, this is a valid PMF of x, because if you add up these two probability, that becomes equal to 1. Incidentally, this also tells that this sum of all these 4 probability masses of the joint one adds up to 1. Coming to y, probability that y equal to 1 is the sum of these two probabilities, y equal to 2, y equal to 3, y is equal to 4. So probability of y is equal to 1 is 1 by 4 plus 1 by 16. If you multiply by 4 on other things, it is 4 by 16 plus 1 by 16, which is 5 by 16. In a similar manner, this will be 3 by 16, this is 5 by 16, this is 3 by 16. If you add up all these things, again you will get 1. So probability x equal to x equal to x equal to x, for x equal to x small x 1 2 is equal to 1. Similarly, sigma of p y equal to y, for y is equal to 1 2 3 4 is the sum of this probability, that is also 1. So this is a valid PMF. Then whether they are dependent or independent, for that we will evaluate probability that x equal to 2 comma y is equal to 2, and that you can see from this x equal to 2 and y equal to 2 to be equal to 1 by 8. And what is the probability of multiplication of probability x equal to 2 and y is equal to 2? And that we can find out, probability of x equal to 2 is 1 by 2 and y equal to 2 is 3 by 16. So this is 3 by 32, and that is not equal to 1 by 2, 1 by 8. So these two quantities differ. So the probability masses don't just get multiplied, therefore x and y are not independent. So this tells that how we can check for the dependence or independence of the random variables. Thank you. We will stop at this point.